area you're associating. And then as you're associating that inventory to that area, it's being recorded in SkuVault. So if you're scanning the barcode while you're in SkuVault and you're scanning the product while you're in SkuVault, then everything's counting and it's going in. And that'll help you kind of keep your warehouse organized and make sure that you know where everything is, as long as you're using the process. It doesn't do you a lot of good to set up a process if you don't use it. So you want to make sure that as you set these up, that you are scanning product in and that you are putting product away, and not just setting up a process within your warehouse and then not using it. So from there, you want to make sure that you're getting into your warehouse and you're figuring out how to save time. One of the things that we want to look at when we're saving time is routing our staff through the warehouse. This is probably one of the things that I see that is the biggest issue for many warehouses. It was for us in one of the companies that I managed. When your staff is walking through your warehouse, are they walking in a manner that makes sense? Are they going down one aisle, around the corner, and back up another? Or are they just going all over the place? Are you using a cart system so that as you pick and you go along, that you're using some logic in the direction that you're going, putting your products in a cart? So as an example, you're printing a pick list from within SkuVault. Our pick lists are set up so that they can be smart pick lists. And what that means is there are literally hundreds of filters within SkuVault that you can use to create a pick list. But let's say that we've created a pick list that's a very simplistic pick list where you're just doing this in order in your warehouse. So what you're doing is your worker has now got their cart and they're walking down the first aisle, and the pick list is in order. And so you go and you stop at your first area that your pick list has instructed you to stop at, and you pick your product based on what your pick list is telling you. And it's telling you that you need to pick 3 items from bin 2 that's on shelf 3, and you're using those locations that were set up. And you go over to that area and you are now scanning that item out and putting it in a specific place on a cart, if that's the direction that you're going with it. Once you complete this task, you keep going and you keep going down the same aisle. And when you turn the corner, you come back up the next aisle. And this is called a smart path. And that means that you are snaking your way through the warehouse in a manner that makes sense. This does a couple of things. It prevents your workers from running over each other, as if you have more than a couple of pickers and more than a couple of carts going around a warehouse, you want to make sure that they're spaced in a manner that makes sense. And you don't want the carts running over each other in the aisles. Warehouse aisles are generally not large enough to have more than 1, maybe 2 carts in the aisle at a time. So you want to make sure that you're starting your workers in areas that it makes sense. And if you have, let's say, 4 workers and they're going out and they're working and picking, you can start each one in a different place based on a smart path and a smart picking process. As you do that, then they are sneaking up and down the aisles, and they're staying far enough away from each other that the carts will continue to move through the warehouse in a manner that makes sense. They're also using a scan gun as they go through and they pick everything. So now every pick is being recorded and you know what's being picked, where it's being picked from, and actually you know who's doing it because the pick lists have been assigned to a specific picker. So you know at what rate people are picking. And this helps you to save time because you're routing your workers. You can now look at who's doing what. Does somebody need coached? Do you have one person that's picking considerably slower than all of the others? Do you need to figure out why? Perhaps that person has not been trained well enough on what the locations are. Maybe that particular person is just being sent out there to pick items that are larger, bulkier, harder to get to, and more difficult to put into the cart. Or perhaps that person just needs more coaching. You may have a superstar and you would want to recognize that superstar. If you've got somebody who is just a speed demon, getting through your warehouse and picking everything at a super fast rate, you want to make sure that you are recognizing that person. And now the other thing to keep in mind when you're looking at your warehouse and you're looking to save time is how you are positioning your products on your shelves. Remember that your workers are only so tall and they're also only so short. So you want to make sure that you're positioning products on the shelves in a manner that makes sense. Generally, it's about knee height up to about eyeball height. And that's based on somebody that's probably about 5'6", 5'8". Anything that is above that eyeball height of somebody that's about 5'8" is going to be difficult for people to reach. And anything below that knee height means that they're probably crawling on the floor. This adds time. So the best solution, if you have the ability to do it, is to use those two locations as overstock and stock your pick bins from those two overstock areas. So all of these little tips and these little tricks can help you save time in your warehouse. And we know that saving time is saving money. And we also know that right now it can be really difficult to find the labor that you need to staff your warehouse. So this can give you a way to maybe grow your business a little bit more and get your business going forward a little bit better without necessarily having to add any people to the warehouse, because you can actually be a little bit smarter with what you're doing and make more money by saving a little bit of time. And from there, we're going to move on to the next one, which is saving money. When you have an organized space for your warehouse and you create areas that are zones, you're creating different areas and you're putting your warehouse to work for you, you want to use these organizational tools to make sure that you're creating an accurate and quick way for your people to pick. And that means setting the warehouse up initially so that everybody can find what they need to. But it also goes back to the whole scanning of process, making sure that you're saving money. When we start talking about scanning and we start talking about saving money in your warehouse, a lot of what I'm going to talk to you about right this second on this is QA, quality assurance, while you're out there. And how do you save money doing that? You pick the right product, and you pick the right product for the order in the right quantity every time, and you send that product out to the client every single time correctly. The client doesn't get the wrong thing. They don't get the wrong size. They don't get the wrong color. If I have some clothing sellers that are listening to this and your warehouse is set up so that all of your red t-shirts are together, I beg you to please go move some of those around. Putting everything together of like a color or a specific thing, any type of specific way that you're putting something together where it can be very difficult to pick, can cost you money. If you've got all your red t-shirts together or all of your blue t-shirts together, how often are your pickers picking the wrong product? Are they sending a large instead of an extra large because you've put them all together instead of perhaps putting all of your extra large shirts maybe in one place? Or maybe you're setting up a warehouse where it doesn't matter where you put things and you're organized in a manner that your organization comes from your processes. And so what that means is that you're organizing, basing it on locations, basing it on what you have available as far as your space. So when you sell out of something, you can use that space to put something else in it. It's called a dynamic location. And what that means is that you don't have to necessarily put the same item back in there every single time. You can put whatever you need to in there. And that, by using the scanning method, means that you're saving money. But you want to make sure that you're using a quality control. So with SkuVault, the way that this works is as you have a pick list and you're going down the aisle, let's say you're using a paper pick list, and we have paper and paperless. If you're using paper and you're going down the aisle, you're scanning your piece of paper and it's bringing up your order on your scan gun or within the memory of the scan gun. You're then scanning the items out. You're scanning the location within the warehouse, and the system knows that you're at the right location. If you're not, it's going to give you an alert. And then once you scan that location, you're going to scan the product out. So this is all based on scanning order, scanning location, scanning product. And by scanning all of these items, you're ensuring that everything's correct. When you're scanning something incorrectly, our system is alerting you or alerting the picker, letting them know that this is incorrect. This is not the right item. This is not the right quantity. If you try to complete an order and you have the wrong quantity, the system will alert you. This makes sure that as you're moving forward, that you're getting the right product constantly out the door to the right customer, again, in the right quantity. I just can't state it enough. And this saves you money. The cost of returns is ridiculous. The cost of shipping right now we know is ridiculous. So for you to pay for an order to come back, you want to make sure that you don't have to do that. And then by creating zones and areas within your warehouse, you can kind of group items by size that makes it easier to pick. So think about somebody who's selling skis and ski hats. Do you really want the same picker going out and picking the skis and the ski boots that's going out and picking the gloves and the hats? Probably not. And they probably don't need to be in the same area. They're not going to fit on the same cart. So you want to make sure that you're organizing by zones, and then you can create your pick list by zones. And you can set up your pick list to go to the areas that you need to, and you can start routing those workers to the areas that you need to. And so, we're going back to organization and making sure that everything's organized and that everything has that place and that you know where you're going. So, it's making sure that you're using good processes. This stops you from having canceled orders because guess what? You know where everything is, you know what you have. You don't have to hold an order and reach out to a customer and say, I'm sorry, I don't have the inventory. You're not going to lose the buy box from out of stocks because you're going to know where things are. And by knowing where things are, you're going to know what you have. The system's going to be able to keep track of what you have. You're going to order in a timely manner, and you're going to bring the items back in, and you're going to hold on to that buy box continuously. And this all comes from organization. And of course, what does that do? That makes your customers happy. And when you make your customers happy, then everybody's happy, right? So you want to keep them happy, and you want to make sure that you have good processes to go through. Then the next thing we're going to talk about is receiving your products, because this is so important when you're bringing your products into your warehouse. When you are ordering your products, if you can create a purchase order in your WMS in SkuVault, you can ensure that your items that you order actually match the items that you receive, and they match the quantity that you ordered. And if you are shorted, this is alerting your accounting department, it's alerting the necessary people that something needs to be followed up on. But with the automation, what happens is you can scan your products in, and they can be set up to go up for sale immediately. So with SkuVault, the way this works is we have a couple of different settings for our purchase orders. You can set your purchase orders up. Let's say you know that your supplier that's providing your product to you, maybe it's your notebooks that you're selling, is all of your products are coming to you within 24 hours every time you order them, or 48 hours. And you know what their stock levels look like. So you place your order for these notebooks and you're getting low. Well, you can set SkuVault up to make that stock available immediately if you know it's on its way. If you know it's on the UPS truck, if you know it's on the Ryder truck, if you know it's on the truck that's on the way to you, you can sell that product before it's actually in your hands and get it out the door the minute that it gets to you. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can start scanning the second that it gets there. So if your trucks are coming in early in the morning and you start scanning your product in, that product's immediately going up for sale on Amazon, on your website, anywhere that you're selling, on eBay, on Walmart. We are immediately making that product available. So now your product gets out there, and it gets out there faster. And that's the goal. We want to make sure that we're getting your products out there and getting them out there faster for you. So you want to make sure that you're receiving against a purchase order, and you want to make sure that you're receiving correctly. And then you want to make sure that if your products are really close and you want to make them available early, you can. Now, going on from there, I'm going to move on to some reporting real quick because I don't want to run over too much in time. I want to make sure we are aware of that. And I want to talk about reporting just a little bit, because one of the things that's really important in a warehouse is staying on top of what product you have, where it is, how it's physically located, and knowing when to reorder. Know what your best sellers are. Know when to reorder something based on velocity, based on seasonality, and making sure that you know which products are going to need to be marked down because they're depreciating. You can do this with a good system. With a SkuVault system, you can look at the products that you have. You can see what you have at all times. You can set our system up so that purchase orders could be automatically created for you based on criteria that you're setting up to know that when I get to this level, I need this information to go on a purchase order. And now my purchase orders are being created based on fact, not on guessing. And I can constantly see, oh, I've hit my level where I need to reorder. So now I'm going in and I'm running these reorder reports and I'm looking at it and it's telling me what I need to reorder. And I'm immediately just clicking, getting these onto purchase orders and shooting those off to my vendors and to my suppliers to make sure that I'm getting my product back in as quickly as possible. These reports also can show you the picks by time, by picker. You know who your top performer is, you know who needs coached. They show you where your product is, as far as if you're operating multiple warehouses, you need to know what warehouses have what product. You need to know what warehouses are shipping what product. And these are all things that you can do with reporting within your WMS, within SkuVault, because we're helping you to look at where your products are and what's going on with them. You need to know that maybe your West Coast warehouse is shipping 3 times as many widget A as your East Coast warehouse, but your East Coast warehouse somehow is sitting on a bunch of widget A. So you need to perhaps do a stock transfer from East Coast to West Coast. These are all things that are really important for you to know. Or perhaps in your warehouse, your pickers keep going to one particular area and not the other to pick product. Is that product getting shelf wear and depreciating because it's not being rotated, because it's not being used? These are all important things that you need to know. And these are all things that you can see with reporting when it comes to SkuVault and your WMS. And then finally, we get into improving the processes. I can't state it enough. Good processes help you make money. When you're running a warehouse, if you're not using good processes, you are losing time, you're losing money. You need to make sure that you're shipping the right item the first time, every time. Why? Positive reviews. You want those higher seller ratings. You need those positive reviews. They create business. We all know that. You need to own the buy box. That creates business. We all know that. It helps you stay on top of things. If you keep running out of things, Amazon, Walmart, they're gonna start depreciating your availability to the buy box. There's an algorithm there, and that algorithm watches what your stock looks like. None of us know exactly what the algorithm is, but we all know that they look at your stock levels, and if you're constantly running out, you're losing a little piece of that algorithm of getting the buy box. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your product in stock. When you get your products listed faster, come on, how are you going to sell it if you don't get it listed out there and you make sure that your products are available for sale? And you want to reduce out of stocks. You want to make sure that you're increasing stock levels on your best sellers. And especially as we come in to peak season this year, we want to make sure that your best sellers are going to be the ones that you've got the best stock on. We all know that people have gone a little bit away from buying stuff and a little more to buying services. So make sure that the products that you have in stock are going to be the best selling products that you have this year, because the products that sell and that are hot this year, you don't want to run out of them. You want to make sure that you have them and that they're on the shelf and you have the right quantity. Then you want to make sure you have a great customer service team that can answer questions. They can say, yes, we have that in stock when somebody's calling them. If you're a wholesaler and you're selling to people who are distributing for you, if you're a manufacturer and you're selling to people who are distributing for you, you need to make sure that you are able to confidently say, yes, that's in stock when somebody's calling you. You also want to make sure that your workers, that your customer service team can look at a report, can look at something, can look at a system and know, in fact, that is what you have. And then finally, you want to make sure that people aren't wasting time just running around looking things, and that they're not reworking orders, because really it's saving time, it's saving money, and it's making everybody happy. So that is how you save a little bit of money and save a little bit of time with SkuVault. And with that, if anybody has any questions, I am happy to answer them.
All right. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you for that amazing presentation. Are there any questions? Oh, goodness. Are there any questions in the chat? No? Well, thank you so much, Kim, for reaching out to us and for that presentation. It was so informational. We're so grateful to have you here today.
We really appreciate it. Thank you. We love being partners with you guys.
Thank you so much, and us with you. Oh, okay. You doing for Pride Month, and a lot of times, it's hard to. We are a brand that celebrates Pride every single day. Something that we our mission is empowering individuals to take pride in who you are and to celebrate that, so you live your best life every day. But in particular for Pride Month, we show up to different events throughout the country. We show up in places where you would normally see someone or see Pride socks. And so we make sure we're at a variety of events so that we can represent the LGBTQ community, representing everyone essentially. The mic, sorry. Just go ahead. I think it was the wood was. Oh, okay. Was causing that. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Can we hear? Are we good? Can everybody hear out there? Yeah. Here. I am very loud. Okay. Just a quick switcheroo. Okay. All right. So that's an amazing way to celebrate Pride. So you're always out at all of these events and going out and kind of promoting kind of all of the love and positivity. And I love that. That's the most amazing thing about your brand, is that you're always out there doing things like that. Now, how do you use your platform? I feel like we sort of covered this a little bit, but how do you use your platform to celebrate Pride and people within the community right now?
So we use our platform. So when we look at the platform, a variety of ways. When you're speaking about the website, we create products that involve individuals to create this visibility between every. So we like to focus on sharing stories of everyday people so that it's relatable and so that you can be a catalyst for somebody else. And it's not some big influencer that you can't relate to, but it's you and I relating, and so that we can empower each other and be that voice for each other. And that, you know, your story might be different than mine, but I could take pieces of your story based of what you shared with Pride Socks, and that it becomes relatable to somebody else. We use our platform, Instagram. We're most active on Instagram, and we use that, like 95% of our content is user generated. And we do that on purpose because it creates this transparency of who we are and who buys our product and who's telling their story through our product line, because it creates this idea that everyone has something to be proud of. And that's something that we share and what we're founded on, that everyone has something to be proud of.
That's actually one of the coolest things that I think that you guys do. Can you, for anyone who doesn't know, kind of quickly talk about your proudest moment card?
Yeah, so we are based on being empowering yourself to be proud of who you are. So we've been in business for 12 years. And I would say about 11 years ago, I was riding my bike downtown to South by Southwest was going on. And I had a backpack full of socks. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give away these socks. And I'm like, no, I want stories from people. And so I would come up to somebody and I would say, hey, what's your proudest moment? And typically people would go, huh? I don't have a proudest moment. And I was like, but yes, you do. Let me share with you somebody else's proudest moment. And then all of a sudden they'd be like, oh my God, I do have a proudest moment. And they would share their proudest moment. And it was like this magical moment that I got a glimpse of somebody's their body language was like tight, and then all of a sudden they were just glowing because they were so proud of themselves. And so from that 2 to 3 days of me going back to, because then I was like addicted. I'm like, oh my God, I need to know more stories. I've got to created these cards that look like, when you go to a party or a function and it says my name is, well, it says my proudest moment is, and people fill that out. And the idea is you can we collect them, or you can keep them and free to put them on your mirror, or your desk, or your car, or somewhere where you're going to visibly see it as a reminder. You know what? I do have a lot of things to be proud of. I have accomplished, because a lot of the things is it's not just that moment that you're most proud of, it's the journey and all the hard work and all the hurdles and all the walls that you've had to overcome to be able to accomplish that proudest moment.
And also, I think it's something inside of us. I think as people, we're just hard on ourselves.
Yes,
period.
100%.
And so having that moment, having somebody ask you that, like, of course it takes you back, because you're like, oh man, my shirt's on wrong. My socks
Yeah.
don't match. Like, I'm just a mess.
Yeah.
But that's such an amazing way to kind of pull out a story. Stories are very important. And I
Mhm.
think it's amazing that you do that and you give those out with every purchased item, correct?
Mhm. And when we're at events, we have those and we ask people to share it. So a lot of times people would be like, they're reserved. But then once you pull it, they're like, it's that magical moment that's addicting. And
Mhm. That's so cool. That's such a special thing to do. Now, speaking more about community, tell us a little bit about your community as a queer business owner or in your personal life.
so I can answer that both, and I will. But our community is everyone, and sometimes it's hard for people to grasp that idea. Like when we go to events, and they're just like, no, you got rainbows and your name's Pride and socks, you're gay, and I'm like, well, yeah, we are, but we're also about being proud of who yourself. And it's like, what do you have that you're proud of, or trying to get people to pull and understand and to make that bridge. And one of the most amazing stories, can I tell you a story about?
Yes.
Okay.
I love stories.
Okay, and I'm good about that, because we get hundreds and hundreds of stories, which is one of the best parts of being the owner of Pride Socks. But so I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. We were at the Austin Marathon. We had a booth, and people told me when I first started the company, don't name your company Pride Socks. It's an instant failure. People are going to go rainbow, pride, gay. They're not going to buy it. This was 12 years ago, a little over 12 years ago. And I'm like, I'm doing it because it's about being proud of who you are. And I had such a strong stance on this. And so I went to the Austin Marathon, set up a booth, and it was my first, I want to say, straight event, majority of people. And this man walked up to the booth, and he was tall, and he was probably in his 60s, 70s. And I could tell he was going to ask me a lot of questions, and I was nervous, and I was intimidated by his physical stature. And he says, and I'm like, oh. And he says, so what is this? And I'm like, well, we're a sock company, and we're about being proud of who you are. And he's like, but aren't you gay? And I'm like, so, and I'm like, and I explained to him about what it meant to be the proudest moment. And I'm like, surely, I mean, you run marathons. You've got to be proud of yourself for all these marathons you've accomplished and you've ridden and you've trained for. And he goes, you know what? My therapist told me that I'm homophobic. Give me 3 pairs of socks. These are going to be my therapist socks when I run. And I was like, yes. So it's just like this connection, this man who's just, and like those little moments where I was able to get him to see a different side and make a connection of, obviously he was working on this. I mean, if he's saying his therapist telling him he's homophobic, like we were able to change someone's perspective. And I definitely didn't know that was going to be the interaction, but he did intimidate me. Yeah. It was amazing. So, but as far as like personal wise, like our community is everyone. It's a 2-year-old, it's a mom, it's an ally, it's everyone on the LGBTQ spectrum. I mean, it literally is everyone. And if you look on our social and on our website, you see a representation of everyone. And it's because if you take away these boxes that as society we like to put each other in, and you just say, individually, we're all human. We all have something to be proud of. We're all human, and we connect on that level. And that's what we try to like to give that kind of energy and that voice to everybody. And we'd like to give, everyone has something to be proud of. We all have a story to be told. And we want to tell that through our products.
And everyone needs a community, and
Yeah.
clearly you're out there giving it to anyone who needs it. And
Mhm.
that's amazing.
Mhm.
That's so that's so special. It's something that's so amazing. Like, especially having that man come up to you and not knowing, like, because even in our head, sometimes even people who are very grounded, we have preconceived notions of people.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's amazing that you were able to like push past that and give something right to that person.
Mhm.
That's
Can I answer like on a, okay, so little other subject, like of like on a personal level, like our community. So I have a really good friend that I grew up with, and so she has 2 kids, and we live in Austin. We both do, and so her son is 11 years old. And recently, as a brand, we purchased a digital printer to where we can print on shirts, and we're doing that. And we'll talk about that in a minute, like the new custom shirts that we're doing. And Slade is his name, and he's 11 years old. And he sent me a text like 2 weeks ago, and he said, "Rachel, I designed this. Can you make this for me?" It was a pride. It said pride really big, and it was the rainbow with all the colors in it. And he says, "Can you print this on a shirt for me? Because we're going to go to the Waterloo event, and I want to wear my own pride shirt." I'm like, 100%. Of course I will. And then I see the text, the ... And I was like, what's this 11-year-old going to get me to do next? And he was like, "Okay, cool. So can you make one for my mom? Can you make one for my dad? And can you make one for my sister too?" And I'm like, done deal, of course. So then made them all shirts. And then I FaceTimed him whenever I was making it. And I was like, okay, now here's what it looks like on the computer. And now it's being printed. And I was showing him, and I showed him as it came out of the printer. And then I put it on the heat press, and I did, because we're on FaceTime. So I did a screenshot of his face, and it was like his smile was like this big. And it was that moment. I'm like, that's what Pride Socks is about. It's about creating those moments that he felt seen, he felt heard, and it was just through a t-shirt. And then on their way to pick it up from our house, little did you know, I made one for myself, for my partner, and our 2-year-old daughter. So when he came, it was like another surprise. And then he just felt that much more seen and heard. And so that's the community that we're building and we're proud of.
That's amazing. And I know we've talked a little bit about Pride Talks and how it started, but just for anyone who is new, which welcome to Pride Talks, it's amazing. You should check out their site. What is Pride Talks and how did it get started?
Well, I can go on and on, but really it started based on a challenge. And my brother owns a sock company as well, and it's called Skater Socks. And I was teaching high school at the time, and taught high school for 12 years, special ed. And I needed an additional income, supplemental income while I was teaching. And so I kept asking my brother over and over and over, "Let me do sales for you. Let me do sales for you." Because I was also serving tables for supplemental income. And finally, after 2 years of me asking him, he's just like, "Rachel, leave me alone and do your own thing." And I was like, "Huh? What do you mean do my own thing?" And he was like, "I'll set you up with a manufacturer. Just do your own, just start your own company." And I was like, "Huh?" And so if you know me, if you challenge me or tell me I can't do something, I'm turning around and I'm doing it, like just to prove you wrong. And so I hung up the phone and I'm like, oh shit, well, what am I going to do? So hence Pride Socks. We were about to go on a road trip. I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to start this company, then I know I'm going to end up quitting high school or teaching. And so I came up with all the ideas, and I had pinpointed all these, what had the greatest impact in my life. And I and I wanted to put that into a brand. And one of the biggest impacts of my life is my parents are deaf. And so we were broke. We all shared socks and toothbrush. I mean, you name it, we shared it. There are 5 kids. We all shared it. And so it was one of the greatest impacts. And then I started running high school, track and cross country in high school. And I didn't know anything about it. My sister said, join the team. And I was like, okay, so I did. And so the first cross country meet, the gun goes off and everyone's sprinting. This is me. I'm like, what? Nobody told me I was going to sprint. I just thought I was going to jog a 2-mile race. And then I was done. I couldn't hold that pace. I started walking and I was cursing, and I said, I'm going to quit. I told my coach I'm quitting, and she was like, okay, cool. Next Saturday, I get on the bus and she hands me a card and it said, "I am proud of you." And that is one of the most impactful moments of my life, because somebody was proud of me when I didn't believed in me, that I didn't know how to in myself. So really, that Pride Socks is that moment, which I didn't realize, wrapped up in these other life experiences. So I view Pride Socks as my coach, essentially, but sometimes you just need someone else to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And that's what Pride Socks is. And that's why we name our products, because we want you to make that emotional connection and to realize you are fearless, you do have grit, you are strength, you are joy, you are love, you are all these things. Sometimes it just takes a sock to tell you that, or a person.
And speaking of that, that's a perfect segue for our next question about projects that you have coming up, and about sharing kind of the good feeling.
Yeah. So taking proudest moments, the cards, and digitizing it to an automated, it's hard for me to explain. So let's just say you got your doctorate degree. Sally is so proud of you. Sally is your friend, and she wants the world to tell you that she's proud of you. So Sally is going to get an email list of like 10, 15, 20, however many friends y'all share mutually. And she's going to get all of her friends to be able to send you an email that says they're proud of you and why. But it's not going to send all these emails to you at once. It's going to send you one email per day. So let's just say 15 people are, sign up for this, and it's going to be free. So you'll get 15 emails for 15 days from 15 different individuals telling you why they're proud of you. And so it's just like this feel good, like email, like it becomes addicting. And so it's like taking the proudest moment card, but magnetizing it to you getting emails. So that's one of them. It's called proudest moment effects. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that's amazing. I'm still blown away by the concept, because it's also a way of expanding your community.
It is.
You're exposing people who might not have heard of your brand to your brand, in the most positive way humanly possible.
Yeah. No, that's something that it's not a brand new concept. It's something that had kind of already exists, but in another way, but we're twisting it to be able to fit to Pride Socks and to be able to spread that love and to share that concept. Another one is we're doing an artist, which you're wearing.
Yes,
It's an artist series custom shirt. So an artist can design a shirt and then we will print them and ship them. And this one is from Katrina Adams, and she's in the UK, and it's called Perfectly Imperfect. And so it's the idea that it's around women, that we all have different shapes and sizes, but yet we're all pretty much badasses and accomplishing and living life. But it doesn't matter your body size, but we're all perfectly imperfect in the things that we accomplish and do. And so that's what that shirt represents.
I love it. And this is coming out soon, right?
It is.
It is coming out soon. So I mean, bookmark it and
Yeah.
check it out. Now, this is not something new for you, selecting artists to do. I know shirts is new, but doing guest socks.
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know, Rachel, Pride Socks collaborates with different artists, right?
Yeah, and we call that custom for a cause. And what that is we collaborate with an individual. Together we design a sock, and then they choose the nonprofit, the proceeds of the socks, which is $5 per pair of socks, which is 33% of the sale, goes to that chosen nonprofit. And it's something that kind of naturally happens out of these relationships that we have built over the last 12 years. And they range from Sky Brown, she just won third place bronze in the Olympics in street skating. And then we have Brandy Carlisle, we have Jason Collins, who was the first NBA player to come out as gay. And so they each have different nonprofits that are specific, that fit their need, or not fit their need, but kind of speak volumes to who they are. But it also is relatable to Pride Socks, of course. And so how we choose, it just kind of naturally happens, honestly. through these relationships that we have built over the years, and reconnecting with, and we have 2 more people that we have projected on the horizon, but
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
We'll just have to stay tuned and
yeah,
find out.
just go to pridesocks.com/custom for a cause. And they're so amazing, and they range from kids to adults to, it just is amazing.
And as you said, things kind of happen naturally through your
Mhm.
network. Is it mostly people, artists reaching out to you, or do you hunt around as well?
It's usually us reaching, but our custom for a cause really started with our first relationship with Sky Brown, and we'd been we had a relationship with her for 5, we were sponsoring her, and she went to Cambodia, and she was just like, why are these kids like my age digging in the trash for food, and for like, I don't have to do that. Like, she could not make sense of this. And she was like, daddy, I need to make a difference. I need to know what to do. And so they were like, hey, let's contact Rachel. Maybe we can make a sock and then send the money over to ISF. And what they do, ISF in Cambodia, is they take kids off the street begging for money, and they put them into schools, and then they take what they're begging, and provide that supplemental income to their parents, and switch up so that they can be educated in the classroom. So they do this swap. And so $5 for every pair of socks from Sky goes to ISF in Cambodia. And so, which is unbelievable what she's been able to do.
That's such a cool thing, because you talk about your community
Mhm.
and proudest moment. You're out here helping other people share their proudest moment, or share what they're passionate about,
Mhm.
and share with their community. And it's giving other people a platform. It's not just about having your own, it's about sharing voices. And I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. So I have to ask, what would your ideal partnership be, or your ideal collaboration?
You say what, and it literally is like anyone, their focal point is empowering someone else or another group. And like, one of our custom for causes is Ruby's Rainbow. It's here locally in Austin, Texas. And when we started working with her, we launched her like maybe 4 years ago. She's 11 now, and she has Down syndrome. And so the Ruby's Rainbow is a nonprofit that provides scholarships for adults with Down syndrome to attend college. So it ranges. And so it's anyone where their focal point is empowering individuals to be grander than what they are, and being able to be that voice for them, and to empower them. So it's whatever that focal point is of empowering individuals, really is the ideal collaborator.
That's something that's so special, and I've noticed this in talking with you, is that you focus on the message first. Like,
Mhm.
what do I want to put out into this world, and build things around that? And I think that's so amazing, starting with the message and then coming out with a way to push your message. And that's really cool. I know I've been saying that a lot. What would you say is some advice that you have for people in the community who want to start their own businesses?
You know, the best quote that I know is, everyone wants that overnight success that took 10 years to grow. And the reality is, it's going to take that to be, it's going to be that to get to, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Make sure that you're emotionally in check with who you are, because there's it's something that's not talked about. A lot of entrepreneurs that sadly end their lives because they have this idea that, oh, I'm going to open up my business, and in 2 years I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, the chances are you aren't. And it's, people put this pressure on themselves that, oh, someone's going to think I'm a failure. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Or I let my family down, or I let my parents down. And the reality is like, you got to keep yourself mentally in check. So if you are going to start your own business, one, do it, because you've discovered so much about yourself and the world around you. But be true to who you are, and make sure that you're emotionally okay on a daily basis, because it's a roller coaster ride, and it's okay. Just believe in yourself, and just
Be kind.
be kind. Yes.
So before we get on to some questions that we have submitted, my final question for you is, what can our viewers out there do to support queer businesses or the LGBTQIA+ community? this
Yeah.
year?
So there's during Pride Month, there's a lot of rainbow washing of corporations wanting to just slap a rainbow on their logo, whatnot, and say, oh, yes, but the idea is since COVID, I feel like more and more people want to spend their dollars where it's going to make a difference, and they want to be able to, where it's going to mean something. And just recently, there was this website released, it's called Everywhere is Queer. And so what they do is they focus on highlighting queer-owned businesses that are small and that are owned by people like myself. And so you don't have, because we all want to, I want to spend my dollar where it counts, but it's like, how do I find that business? Well, if you go to Everywhere is Queer, they have a map of the world of different businesses that are owned by queer people. And so it's like, you could put in socks, or you could put in candles, you could put in like a salon or whatever, and your zip code, and it'll auto-populate these different businesses that are owned by queer people. And so I would say, if you want to support, that would be a great way, and it's a phenomenal resource to be able to easily find all of these companies.
And just so you guys know, we will be including that in our follow-up email that we will be sending out after this event. So
Yeah.
you guys can utilize that as well.
Mhm.
So now moving on to our questions that we received. This one's pretty broad.
Okay.
How are you currently handling returns? Right? I know, returns. The big
Yeah.
R word.
Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, we don't get a lot of returns. And so the return may be because and I don't know why, but it's like the returns have been, I shipped you rainbow laces instead of transgender laces. Like, it is whatever we can do to make it right. And usually whenever a customer wants to return something, I'm like, I give them choices. Like, would you prefer this, this, or this? What makes you feel best about this return? Because the reality is we are run by and supported by our community. And so I want to make it right, because obviously we did something wrong. And so we want to do something right. So we give choices, and usually it's just, hey, send me this product that I ordered, or send me this new shirt. But you just do what it takes to make it right. Do I like returns? No, because it costs money, just kind of like what they talked about in SkuVault. Like, it costs money, but we want to do what's right.
Right. Do what's right by your customer
Mhm,
base. And
mhm.
that's the way to do it. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the way to go about it. What would you say are your retirement goals? I know this is a big question.
That is a big question. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm 45.
Thinking far into the future,
Mhm.
right?
My retirement goals, I love working, and I love working with people. So my retirement goal would be to buy a camper van, which I don't say that that's a retirement goal. I think that's a goal for now, and traveling to these different events, and being able to be more visible on the road, and exposing my daughter to the reality of what this world is, and being able so that she has that kind heart for all humans. So is that retirement? I don't ever see myself retiring, to be honest with you.
I mean, when your mission is spreading love and pride within people, can you
Mhm.
ever
Right?
retire?
Yeah.
Right? That's a lifelong goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has integrated your process with ShipStation led to or inspired any like novel ideas within your business, like campaigns that you wouldn't have done before, or specific things that you wouldn't have done before using ShipStation?
So is this question asked me, has ShipStation inspired me to come up with?
For instance, here, there's
Okay.
For instance, have you perhaps held a campaign to promote a cause close to your heart, which may have been difficult to do, or which would have been significantly smaller prior to using ShipStation?
Okay, so ShipStation really, and it simplified my life. So you on different platforms, on a product on different platforms. So it integrated all into one software, which is ShipStation. That made life easy. So we started using ShipStation. It's been a while. So do I think it has? I can't think of how it has made me want to scale down a campaign, because we've been using it for so long that it hasn't, that thought process hasn't been there. But ShipStation has like made a huge difference, where it is like, oh, it doesn't matter. It just is so easy.
Right.
it's a no-brainer to use ShipStation because
Right.
it has created, it's made it so easy for us.
Right. Well, unfortunately, it does look like we are out of time, but I want to thank you again so much, Rachel, for being an amazing guest. And if you want more of Rachel, there is actually a podcast out there with the amazing JB Hart.
Oh, he was amazing. He was amazing.
Called Get Ship Done.
Yeah.
And the latest episode is up and it features Rachel. So definitely go check that out. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors, SkuVault. And before we go, I would like to announce the winner of our giveaway of this beautiful bouquet. And the winner is Lindsay Sherbetz. That would be you.
Yay!
Congratulations. I'll get that to you as soon as we wrap this up. So Ship and Sip is back. So if someone you know or yourself would like to be nominated as a highlighted user, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or email the events team at events@shipstation.com. Thank you guys so much, and we will see y'all next time.
Thank you.
Bye.